What's going on, people? Zap here, and I told myself, and I told many of you guys in the comment section of my videos that I would not make this video, but due to the idiocy of one YouTuber who made a comment on one of my videos, because of this stupid comment, it drove me to make this video. And I'm going to try and make this video as short as possible because I don't want to go on this long tangent. But because this person made this comment, I felt like I was forced to come out and discuss my feelings about Gears of War 4 and my feelings about the Gears of War franchise as a whole. So let's go ahead and get into this person's comment. He goes by the name of Neil on YouTube. And these are his words verbatim. I'm not paraphrasing or anything like that. This is exactly what he said. And I quote, "Old Gears games at 30 FPS. So they're automatically worse. Gears 4 has its issues, but it's a good game. Gears 3 was a mess. Aiming down the sights, hammer bursts, sawed off, and retros as spawn-in weapons. Maps like Sandbar were ass. Maps like Rustlung were hacked up. Depths had to be removed altogether. Judgment was a joke. Gears 1 and 2 were all about host advantage. Gears 4 for the win. Simple process of elimination." End quote. Now, there were a lot of really stupid comments that this person made in his post. So let's go ahead and cover them before we get into the actual meat and potatoes of this video. Once I'm done addressing this person, I'll actually get into the depth of the conversation here. He says that the older Gears games only run at 30 frames per second, which means that they are completely irrelevant and that they automatically suck compared to Gears 4. Let's be a little bit more specific here. Gears 4's multiplayer runs at 60 frames per second. Horde mode does not. Horde mode runs at 30 frames per second on consoles. And guess what? Horde mode and the multiplayer drop in frame rate. Consistently drop in frame rate. So it's not even at a solid locked 60 frames per second. They drop. They just drop. So I just thought I would clarify that. So he wants to completely ignore the important things like gameplay, weapon balance, map balance, and layout, on top of other features that make a multiplayer game fun for people. And let's go ahead and make this clear. We're talking about multiplayer. We're not talking about the single player. We're talking about the multiplayer aspect of the Gears of War games. So he wants to completely disregard all those things I just mentioned because Gears of War 4 runs at 60 frames per second multiplayer wise, so that honestly makes it better. Okay, that's stupid. Gears 3 was a mess. Now, here's the thing. I will agree to a certain extent that Gears of War 3 was far from perfect. Gears of War 3 is not even my favorite game in the franchise. Many of you guys know that Gears 2 is. But Gears of War 3 did have its problems. And I will get into that at a later time. So I will agree with you to a certain extent that Gears of War 3 does have its problems. As do all of them. Judgment was a joke. Here's my final thoughts on Judgment. Alright. Gears of War Judgment, as a Gears of War game, was not a good game. Because Gears of War Judgment had Gears of War in the title, it was not a good Gears of War game. As its own standalone game, if it was made not associated with Gears of War at all, Gears of War Judgment would have been fucking fantastic. The free-for-all was great. Alright? But because it was a Gears of War game, it had its certain bubble that it should have been kept in. And it tried to, get out of that bubble a little bit too hard, right? For a lot of people's taste. And I understand that. But as its own solid standalone game, Gears of War Judgment would have been great. But because it was a Gears game, by association, it was not a very good Gears game. I will agree with that. Gears 1 and 2 were all about host advantage. Boy, I ought to smack the shit out of you. Anybody who was ever any good at Gears of War 1 or 2 could work around host advantage. That's point blank period. The only time host advantage was ever really a big deal was when the host connection was absolutely fucking terrible. That was basically it. And you guys know me. Those of you who have been rocking with me for a long time, you know that I have a very long history with Gears of War 1 and 2. And the host was never really that big of a deal to me, you know? Because if a game plays very well, if a game is amazing, then you will sit there and you will enjoy every fucking minute of it. No matter how many times you get bullshitted out of a fucking shotgun battle, you will sit there and you will play it. And I will cover that in a little bit as well. So, Neil, you said your piece, and I would like to say you are an idiot. I hope that you realize you're an idiot and you have no place playing a Gears of War game or any game. I hope you sell your Xbox. I hope you sell whatever game console you own. And you live an Amish lifestyle. No electricity, no civilization. You live an Amish lifestyle. And you are never heard from ever again. Because you are a complete idiot. Now that that's done, let me go ahead and talk about Gears of War 1 through 3. And then give you guys my final thoughts on 4 and why I don't like 4. Every single Gears of War game, in chronological order, had something special about it. And we're talking about multiplayer. Again, we're only talking about the multiplayer. Gears of War 1's multiplayer was new, it was fresh. But the thing about it that trapped people and got a hold of its hardcore fan base was the skill gap. You know? There was no other console shooter at that time that punished you for being a bad player. Every other console shooter at the time was kind of like hand feeding you different things like abilities, and you know, Call of Duty wasn't really out at the time, at least not Call of Duty 4. So, I mean, every other game at the time, you know, I think I was playing like Black Site Area 51 and, you know, Doom 3 and, you know, all these other games, Halo 2. There were all these other games that were out, Perfect Dark, Quake 4, all these other multiplayer shooters at the time. They had these things in them that would kind of like baby you and give you an advantage. Gears of War 4 did not, or Gears of War 1, did not give you an advantage. You went out there and you had to bust your ass and you had to work for your kills. That was it. You had to get your movement on point. You had to get your shots on point. Everything had to culminate to you becoming a better player. And that's the initial draw to Gears of War 1. That and the dark and moody tone of the maps, you know. So that was the initial fun factor for Gears of War 1, was that it was new, it was fresh, nothing was out that was quite like it at the time, right? You make a jump to Gears of War 2. Gears of War 2 takes a lot of the things that were really good in Gears of War 1 and improves upon it. You get more characters to choose from in the multiplayer. There are more weapons to choose from in the multiplayer. There were a lot more maps and game types for you to play in the multiplayer. And then on top of that, you know, you had Horde mode, which was something great. You know, it was Horde mode was brought along during the rush of, you know, survival game modes like, you know, Left 4 Dead and things like that. People wanted to play together and things like that. And you know, there was a Halo ODST firefight and things like that. So, you know, Horde mode was brought along in the wake of, you know, those game types. So Gears of War 2 took all the things that were fun in Gears of War 1. It still had a huge learning curve. It still had a huge skill gap. Didn't baby you, didn't hold your hand, and it improved upon some things and added a whole lot of stuff. You know, the graphics were on point with Gears of War 2. Still is a beautiful looking game to this very day. But it added so much. And this is going to be a key theme here, is additions. What is the next game adding to make it better than the previous, you know? Never mind the shotgun delay. Gears of War 1 and 2 both had horrible hit detection and host advantage and things like that. But for all those problems that were in Gears of War 1 and 2, you still sat your ass down in front of that fucking TV and you played for hours. I can't even recall how many times I sat down and played Gears 1 and 2 for hours. Started at 8 p.m. in the evening and didn't realize that it was like fucking 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. That's how long I would fucking sit down and play Gears 1 and 2 multiplayer. Because despite all the bullshit, I had fun. I worked for every single fucking kill. I worked for everything I had in Gears of War 1 and 2, and it was a lot of fun. But Gears of War 2 has some of the best maps. It still has the best maps in the franchise, in my opinion. You know, so you had all these weapons. You had new characters. The hammer burst was altered from Gears of War 1 to 2. It was now an actual viable weapon. But the rifles, it had a good balance. The weapons were relatively balanced, even despite the inconsistency with connections and hit detection and stuff like that. You know, so I think the one big issue was that the movement felt a little bit more sluggish in Gears of War 2, which I will agree with everyone on. But other than that, I felt like Gears of War 2 was leaps and bounds a bigger improvement over Gears of War 1, which was very bare bones. Moving over to Gears of War 3, what did you get with Gears of War 3's multiplayer? More advancements to Horde mode. You got weapon skins. You got new characters. So you got more characters on top of the ones from Gears of War 2. You got improved visuals, faster movement speed, much more fluid movement speed from Gears of War 2 to 3. And I think that's really it. The maps in Gears of War 3 were not the best. So this is going back to what Neil said. The maps in Gears of War 3 were not the best. They didn't start to get good. Excuse me. They didn't start to get good until the later map packs started to drop, and some of the maps were really good. Rustling I thought was great. Depths I thought was great. Slab I thought was great. Artillery I thought was great. And there were a few others as well. I can't really think of the names at the moment, but you know, it had its good maps. Cove I thought was amazing, but it had its good maps and it had its bad maps. You know, the maps that initially launched with Gears of War 3, I didn't really like too much. So I will say that Gears of War 3's maps were relatively weak. They were weak in comparison to Gears 2. But the maps were better than Gears 1. Let that sink in. I think Gears of War 3's maps were better than Gears 1's, but not Gears 2's. But yeah, again, the theme is you got more. You got more weapons. You got more characters. You got weapon skins out the ass. Having a Chrome Nasher was fucking dope as fuck. Alright, let's be real. So you got all this stuff. So more additions, more is always better. Now, looking at that theme, more and more and more with each game that's coming out. When you look at Gears of War 4, what are you getting more of? Oh, I forgot to mention more game types in Gears of War 3 as well. So, moving forward, what are you getting more of with Gears of War 4 that you weren't getting in Gears of War 3? It's not more game types. Oh, no. It's not more game types. You got escalation and you got dodgeball, right? But dodgeball is essentially Warzone with a respawn mechanic. So really, how much more new are we getting with the game types? Escalation is essentially domination on a round-based scale. Give or take. But, okay, I'm not going to nitpick. I'm not going to cherry pick. All right, dodgeball and escalation are new game types. Okay, I'll let you guys have that. But outside of that, what else new are you getting? You get a small handful of new characters. But with the new characters you get from Gears of War, in Gears of War 4, they've taken so many away. So many of those characters away that we all grew to love. No more Bernie. No more Griffin. No, Ty's not in that. No Ty. Like, what the hell, man? Like, no classic Baird. Like, no classic Cole. No classic Marcus. A lot of the things that no Carmines. You got Gary Carmine. Who gives a fuck? No Carmines. No relevant Carmines are in the game. But Zap, those characters weren't in the campaign. Blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? Who the fuck cares? They're multiplayer characters. No one's going to give a fuck one way or another. And then you look at the characters that they do give us, and they're not good. They aren't good. People, we're settling for less here. We are actually settling for less. If you look at the progression from Gears 1 to 3, leaps and bounds. Although I do believe that Gears of War 2 added the most from one game to another, from 1 to 2, it added the most to the franchise. And then the other Gears games that followed just sort of like polished up as things progressed, added maybe a thing or two here or there. But Gears of War 4 definitely added the least amount of all the Gears of War games. And then shit on its fan base with a ton of shitty microtransactions. At least with Gears of War 3, you could unlock the characters by playing, right? Just by simply playing. You didn't have to do these shitty packs, which didn't guarantee you shit, which causes people to have the incentive to pay. So you pay to get all these packs and then scrap everything so you can make the parts to get a character that you really want. Money down the shitter. And a lot of this stuff that should be included in the season pass is not included in the season pass. Why isn't this UIR shit included in the season pass? What are people buying the season fucking passes for? Oh, I get to play the new maps before everybody else does. Brr. When they take the new maps out of the cycle, I have the season pass, so I get to still play them. Brr. What the fuck ever? Luckily, I'm mad and I don't even have the season pass. I haven't spent a single fucking dollar on this game. Why? Because I saw the writing on the wall. From the first multiplayer match, and I looked at the skins and how the whole, unlocking system went, I said, no. You guys are not gonna fucking Overwatch me. And the sad part is that this is worse than Overwatch. The way that this system is set up is worse than Overwatch. What in the fuck? So people that actually spent the money, their hard-earned money for the season pass, you have every right to be pissed off. And you should be flooding the Gears of War Facebook page, the Coalition Facebook page, their Twitter accounts, their all their forms of social fucking media. You should be flooding that shit right now with hate messages. Let them know how you feel. Because it's absolute fucking bullshit. The problem with it is I think that they're trying to cater too much to this esports audience when the esports audience, the competitive audience, is the minority. They are the minority. The people like me, the people like you guys, are who they should be trying to cater to. These other people, the competitive scene, don't give a fuck about character skins, so they don't have to buy them. They don't have to buy the skins. All they worry about is competitive game types, competitive maps to play these game types on. They're fine playing one game type all day at an event. Let that shit sink in. These guys are fine playing one game type all day long at an event for an entire fucking weekend. And the Coalition is putting more time and effort into that than to what the fuck we want. That's sad. Why can't I play as a character that I want to play as? Why do I have to go through all this trouble to unlock this character? Why am I buying these loot crates with these in-game credits with my fingers crossed because there's no guarantee that I will get what the fuck I want? It's retarded. But Gears of War 4 is a huge step backwards, man. And if you don't agree with me, then there must be something wrong with you. There must be something wrong with you. I can't help you. If you don't see the writing on the fucking wall, then there's no point in helping you. There's a big reason why Gears of War 4 dropped in Twitch viewership faster than any other fucking game in the franchise. Any other game in the franchise. In less than a month, nobody, and I mean nobody, was getting more than maybe a couple hundred views. And that's only if you were like Gold Glove or Cream or somebody like that was streaming the fucking game. You guys want to know how many people are watching Gears of War streams? For people that are non-competitive players? The highest I think I saw one day, and these were like peak Twitch hours, was like fucking, what, 30 people. 30 people. Ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch? So let that sink in, man. There's a huge reason why Gears of War 4 is probably one of the worst Gears of War games, selling-wise, in the franchise. And this isn't just me talking out of my ass. I gave you legitimate reasons as to why Gears of War 4 is inferior to every other game that came before it. I'm not including Judgment. Gears of War 4 is the worst Gears of War game I have ever fucking played. Again, I'm not counting Judgment. It is the worst. The absolute worst. And I don't give a damn if it plays smoother than Gears of War 1 or 2. In terms of movement. It's not nearly as good. It's not nearly as fucking good. And it never will be. Now, all you people that are tickling the balls of this game for no fucking reason, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, because you guys are fucking over everybody else who actually wants better for the game. You are fucking over everyone else who wants better for the game by being complacent with this bullshit. This is bullshit. Gears of War 4 is bull fucking shit. I cannot say it and stress it enough. Gears of War 4 is garbage. And the Coalition, I fucking knew you guys were going to ruin it. I knew it. I fucking knew it. You take a franchise that is as beloved as Gears of War, and you put it in the hands of a developer whose only real experience in making a game has been Ultimate Edition, which is basically a prettier version of Gears 1. You didn't have to do any work. You just took Gears 1 and updated the fucking graphics. Holy shit. Oh, man. I really wanted Gears of War 4 to be really good. But I knew it wasn't going to be good. At this point, I would rather play Gears of War 3. And you guys know how much I hated Gears of War 3. But god damn it, Gears of War 4 is so goddamn bad. I would rather play Gears of War 3 over it. And this video was longer than I thought it would be. So, with that being said, I'm about to go drink some water and something. But, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, Zap, you're wrong. You're wrong, Zap. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. As a matter of fact, don't even bother putting your thoughts and feelings in the comment section, because I really don't give two shits. Whether you agree with me or not, I said my piece finally. It's off my chest. If anybody comes to my channel asking me, I'm gonna fucking send them this link to this video. They will know. I will never have to go over this ever again. But that's all I have. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I love you guys. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.